Carruthers Jr., Student Support Coordinator at Edgewood Middle Campus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lital Ehrlich, the school counselor at the Anacostia Elementary campus.
Hi, I am Sheena Lal, the LPC at the Anacostia Elementary campus.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikisha Samuel, the Student Support Coordinator at the Benin Middle campus.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amber Toller. I'm the school counselor at Benning Elementary campus, and next year I will be the LPC at Edgewood Middle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deaja Davis, school counselor at Edgewood Elementary campus.
And Nancy Aja, our school psychologist at BMC, also helped to contribute to this workshop. This workshop is for you. It is a workshop focused on emotional wellness, and we hope that you enjoy. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to watch.
So our agenda for today is adult self-care, what you can do or what you can say to your child or your teenager, how you can help them cope, balancing life with technology, summer resources for learning and staying active, as well as free counseling services for summer needs. We will also provide a list of this information and resources that you can use to access this information over the summer.
So we wanted to start with adult self-care because in the midst of a global pandemic and ongoing police killings in our Black and Brown communities, we need to make sure that you as adults are taking care of yourself in order to help your students and puppies. So let's start by taking a minute to do some deep breathing to bring ourselves to a state of awareness. So please sit up on your chest if you can and get your back straight. You want to make sure that when you inhale, you feel your stomach expand, and that when you exhale, you feel your stomach contract. So we're going to do a simple 4-4-4 count. We'll do this 3 times. So let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Last time, inhale, hold, exhale. So what is happening for us in our brains right now? When we were cave people and we lived in caves, we had to have a warning for danger. As a way to protect ourselves, our brains have something called your amygdala, and that turns on your fight or flight mode and helps you to run away from danger. Your prefrontal cortex works hand in hand with your amygdala because it is able to give you that logical thinking and sometimes calm you down. But in the midst of a global pandemic and police killings, your amygdala is going off very strong and your prefrontal cortex may be very quiet in this moment. So just take 30 seconds to go over this list of some common responses to a traumatic event. Read through some of the responses and see how many you've been feeling lately. Please take note of the fact that it is not an average week when we feel so many of these. And let's remember that when we feel so many things at the same time, it is okay, and we need to show ourselves self-compassion. So what is something you can do to help? You can focus on things you can control. Number 1, remember and always ground yourself in the fact that you are doing your best. Number 2, We want to start on the very bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Make sure that you are eating and drinking healthy foods and that you're sleeping daily. Also, this is a great time to reach out to your support networks. When it comes to COVID, you can wash your hands and avoid touching your face. Wear a mask and stay 6 feet away from others. Stay at home and avoid non-essential trips and avoid large groups of 10 or more. Also, control what you feed your mind. Watch trustworthy news sources only. There's a lot going on social media, and it can be very emotional to get involved in some of those conversations. So limit the amount of time you expose yourself to the news and step away from the media if you are feeling overwhelmed. I've personally had to delete Facebook and Instagram from my phone for the last 2 days. Be careful about what you choose to share and be mindful of conversations that you're having with others. Stay in touch with your family and friends as a way to feel supported.
Yes, this is a list of things that you can do in order to take care of your body and spirit. Sheena did a great job earlier of leading the deep breathing exercise, which is a good example of mindfulness exercise. You can also meditate as well. Also take up a relaxation practice like journaling, drawing. You can even do a crossword puzzle if that's what relaxes you. You can be kind to yourself, maintain a routine as best as you can. Time out for activities you enjoy. For example, you can just leave your home and enjoy the sun, walk around the block. You can also get out in nature if possible. Find ways to exercise like yoga or Zumba and avoid medicating. COVID Coach is an app that I came across. I find it very useful. It has 4 sections: managing stress, an area to learn, check, and find resources. Education about coping during pandemic. This doesn't just have to do with COVID-19, but also a lot of the things that we've been hearing on the news and also our personal lives. There's tools for self-care. We spoke a lot about feeding your mind and taking care of your body and spirit. This is a good way to do this. There may be tools on this app that you haven't tried before. Maybe rope or being able to walk around while in the house. Also, COVID Coach does not replace a licensed professional. So if you need it, please contact a therapist. You can use this app alongside therapy sessions if needed. There has been a lot going on in the news with the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and other Black and brown men, women, and trans people. It can be a lot to take in sometimes. This is a list here of ways that you can cope with seeing these events on the news. Creating boundaries is very important. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with the amount of information we are receiving. I know for me, I was with a group of people and they were all talking about what's been happening in the news. And it's not that I don't care, but I needed a break from it for a little bit because it was messing with my mental health. It was making me a little sad, well, very sad. It was making me irritated at times as well. So I needed to take a step back. It's very important to do that. And I think it's also important to show yourself some compassion. Realize that you're doing the best that you can, and help is available if necessary. And next, we're going to go into how to talk to our children about these topics as well.
So Sheena and Nikisha just did a great job explaining how you might take care of yourself first. We think about if we're ever flying in an airplane, the advice is to put your own air mask on before you put on a mask of someone else, because you first have to take care of yourself. A part of that is also knowing that our children have a lot of questions for us right now and want to talk to us about what's going on. So we're going to think about how we can talk with our child about these topics. The first one we're thinking about is living in the context of a pandemic right now. We ended school virtually this year, and we don't know exactly what school will look like in the fall. But we want our students to know that teachers and the DC prep community will be there to help students to adjust. So continuing to remind your child that whatever it looks like, whatever the schedule is, whenever we are online, the teachers will be there to help them. You can also remind your child that your family is taking steps to help keep you safe during this pandemic. So for example, you can talk about any new thing that you're doing, maybe washing your hands more often, or maybe some social distancing or wearing a mask. Also reminding your child that it is absolutely normal and okay to have all of the different feelings at once. Maybe your child is feeling a little bit sad about the way that the school year ended, but at the same time, maybe they're feeling a little bit excited that they didn't have to take their big park test this year. Maybe mixed in with all of that, they're really missing some family members or some friends they haven't gotten to see recently. All of those feelings can exist at once, and we just need to give our students a space to hear them. There are some other resources that we've provided in our resource guide that if you'd like to take a look at some specific language that you can use when talking with your student, that information is there. We're also thinking about how to talk to our kids during what is structural and state-sanctioned violence and anti-Blackness right now in our country. The Child Mind Institute suggested 4 tips when thinking about how to talk about this with your child. The first is just not to avoid talking about it. Even though we don't know exactly what we might want to say, knowing that we can talk about it and that we should, it is important. Validating your child's feelings is also essential. Knowing that there might be anger, there might be grief, all of those things can exist, and just knowing that you can tell your child that you feel it too. Going along with what Sheena and Nikisha presented earlier, grounding yourself before you talk with your child could be important. Maybe it looks like taking some deep breaths. Maybe it's talking with someone that you trust before. And encouraging the questions. You don't have to have the answers, but just allowing your child to be a listening ear for all of the questions. If you don't know the answer to a question, responding with another question, trying to determine what was the true meaning of their question. Dr. Kira Banks, an amazing psychologist, provided 3 tips for families talking about racism. The first tip that she provided is to teach your child about the system of racism. We are in our American history are talking about systematic racism. We're not just talking about racism between one individual and another. There are a lot of resources that can help providing this information, such as the documentary 13th, available on Netflix and YouTube for late elementary or older students. We're also going to provide a book list about race, racism, and resistance in our resource guide. The second tip from Dr. Banks is to teach them to see the humanity in all people. Avoid talking about stereotypes and instead showing the everyday and exceptional stories of Black and Brown people. Also sharing the story of white people who have been actively anti-racist in our history. And the last tip is to teach them that they can act now. They don't have to wait. They don't have to keep their feelings inside. They can write and speak, sign a petition, talk to their community, organize a march, whatever feels right to them and for your family and your community. Leita, you're on mute.
Thank you. Another conversation that is happening around the world that families are having now and long before are conversations specifically around the police. While I am a new parent, I am not an expert, so I did turn to some experts who have had this talk before. An article from NPR interviewed people from psychologists to police officers, and they gave some helpful tips for talking with your children. Similar to what Amber said, being honest with them. Talk about what they see already, what they know already, and what they should know. You may want to think about, it may be better that they hear from you because they're going to get information from their peers or from the media. There are also a ton of books that you can look to have this conversation. 2 pointers that this article talked about was if and when your child does get pulled over or approached by the police, ending the questioning. Your child has a right to ask for you, the parent, and or a lawyer. Also, they should comply, but they should take down that officer's information. On your own time, please feel free to come back to this slide to see maybe what are some differences between elementary and then middle or high school age students when having this conversation. Next, we're going to talk about how can I help my child cope? I'm going to talk about who can have anxiety, what does it look like, and then of course, what can we do? So who can have anxiety? Anyone. Even the smallest of children experience anxiety. They might cry when a stranger picks them up. That's anxiety. A 2-year-old or even a 5-year-old who's afraid of a clown, that's anxiety. A first grader having a stomach ache on the first day of school, and even as adults, your first day of work, or when we have to return to work and how we feel about that, that's anxiety. It's important to pay attention when this anxiety does not go away. That is another beast. What could it look like? So biting your nails, not sleeping well, asking a lot of questions, a lot of crying or anger. There are so many different ways anxiety can show up in our bodies and in our minds. It is important for us to remember that when there is a change in our behavior, something that we weren't doing before, that could be from anxiety. So if your kiddo starts not sleeping well, and previously they had no problem sleeping 7 to even 10 hours, you might want to dig deeper and figure out what's going on with them. So what can you do? You can create a routine. And I know you have heard this from all of us before, your teachers and principals, but it works. Because when you have a routine, you're thinking about, oh, when's math? Or, oh, what time is lunch? Instead of all the stuff that is happening in our world. It also might be helpful for your family to create a specific time and place to just talk about what is happening. So every day on Thursday at 6 p.m., this is when we're going to talk about what's happening with George Floyd, and this is what's happening with the pandemic. We saw before that breathing are excellent techniques to help with your anxiety. If you're a dancer, take a dance break. If you love outside, go outside. If you're a driver and you like to sing, roll your windows down and blast it out. And if you're an artist, go ahead and draw. We also have seen that in this pandemic and in this world of racism, there are things that you can control. You can wash your hands. You can wear a mask. You can make a sign to put in your window to show what you stand for. You can read articles and you can donate to Black-owned businesses and nonprofits. This next slide is just an image from the Children's Hospital of just things that you can do to stay healthy and stay calm. Next, we're going to hear from Deaja Davis about balancing life with technology during a global pandemic.
Thanks, Lita. So I'm going to be talking about balancing life with technology. And the first thing I want to highlight is the fact that we are always learning. I know we are on summer vacation, and you can always come back to this presentation when we do rejoin in the fall. But I do want to just highlight the fact that we survived our first time distance learning, and it presented us with a lot of challenges, and we learned how to do things differently, but together we adapted, continue to adapt to something that is moving quickly and navigating a life that is literally surrounded around access to technology. So some tips for distance learning. The first one, as Lita mentioned, is establishing a routine and also establishing expectations. These can look like anything from a schedule to having rules about using technology, whether that's we only use technology after we've done learning or after 6 o'clock. We don't use technology, we wind down. Whatever works in your home is just always good to establish a routine. The second thing is choosing a quote unquote good place to learn. It's important to separate the play space from the learning space so that children have an area that is dedicated to learning, and that is a clear distinction. The third time is establishing times for quiet and reflection. Taking technology breaks is really important, especially because we are accessing technology throughout the day. So having a time to maybe read your favorite book, even do like different games with your kids, or just talk about your day is really important. The fourth and fifth thing are connected. Managing and monitoring your on-screen and online time, especially as adults. We talked a lot about adult self-care. And so thinking about when are we as adults disconnecting, whether that's from the news, whether that's from social media, and also not working all night, but having clear stopping points, and then connecting safely with others. So the opportunity. What opportunity has technology given us? We have the opportunity to embrace the differences that come with using technology, but also acknowledging the challenges. And as we mentioned before, we are all doing the absolute best that we can. And so I want to highlight the fact that so much organic learning can happen in our daily family life. And that in and of itself is a unique opportunity that we might not have had before. So taking care of yourself as an adult is super important as we continue to take care of our families. So think about how we as an adult can model disconnecting from technology for our students. Sticking to our word. If we say we're done at 6 o'clock and it's going to be family time, making sure we honor that so that our kids know that it is important to do our work, but also to disconnect and have that family time. The last thing is there is a variety of different things available to technology. Technology is amazing and something we should embrace. And the key is managing and creating a balance. And next, we're going to have some resources from Mr. Carruthers.
Hello again, family. So a lot of the conversation that we have been having has been centered around how we navigate life in a time of change and in a time of difference. You've heard a lot of information around like how to self-care for yourself, how to have conversations, very difficult and possibly challenging and emotional conversations with your preppies. One of the other changes that we know that is happening now is that summer will look a lot different. Traditionally, you probably have kids, your preppies go to summer camp or to go to the local park and to the recreation center and do activities there. And unfortunately, with everything that's happening, we can't have that now. So one of the things that we thought that was important to do was to provide you with a list of summer activities and resources for your preppies. And this is, again, a way to keep them engaged and to give you information around what you can allow them to do in this time when some of our traditional options aren't open. On this first slide, I just want to highlight, I did include the DC Free Summer Meals Program just as a resource if necessary, and then other activities that they can do as well. On the next slide, you'll see a continuation of these activities that you can use to help facilitate a structured day for them. One of my favorites is the Wide Open School program, which offers very concrete information about daily activities that you can use for your DC prep students. And the activities go all the way up to high school. And so if you have children that are in high school, you can use that as a resource for them as well. Finally, you'll also see a slide that was created by our team member, Nancy Aja, who couldn't be here today. This slide provides a list of mental health counseling supports that are free. We have actually used this information to support other families in our DC Prep network and to some success. And so if you feel like you need this as a resource, we wanted to also provide this information as a resource for you as well. Again, we are providing a lot of information in this conversation, and so there will be a list of all of these resources that you can access throughout the summer should you need it.
Thank you so much for taking some time and spending some time watching this with us today. We wanted to close just with some affirmations, another tool that you can use for self-care, for recognizing how important you are in the world. You are loved.
You are doing your best.
You are strong.
You are enough.
You are brave.
We love you and look forward to seeing you and your preppies in the fall. Have an awesome summer.
Bye, thank you.
I think in the Zoom recording, they don't see us at all.